Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited once again for the last of E3 2018's videos. This is Jesse, aka BGFH, and yeah, boy, it's been a busy weekend. It's just been kind of a busy time overall lately, not just for the channel, but for work and just kind of in general. We had, like I said, we had all those Google and Microsoft and Apple keynotes, and now we have a whole bunch of E3 stuff, and I'm still trying to process all the games. There's still probably ones that didn't even show up during the press briefings from all these different companies that, who knows what else we might learn about in the next few days, because technically E3 didn't start until today. It's funny because traditionally, until I would say the last maybe 2 years or so, the press conferences would all be kind of smushed into like Monday and Tuesday, maybe Sunday night. But yeah, now they're just kind of getting earlier and earlier. You had the two on Sunday, the one on Saturday, even EA. But we are back. I'm back for the final two press conferences, and I have definitely some mixed feelings on said press conferences. So we're going to cover the last two, mainly being Sony and Nintendo. We are back in Minecraft here, just for something to kind of look at, wander around. And again, if you want to check out the full areas that my friend and I have made on this server, definitely, like I said, there's a few videos. There are the Castle Town Tour, I forget exactly what it's called. You have the Crater City Final Tour, which is this whole tower city that I'm looking at right now that we're going to wander through a little bit. And then the Minecraft Co-op Tour that is looking at more of Jawbreaker's projects back over there and that big thing over there. So, with that aside, if you want to check those out, definitely go ahead. There are some playlists for that because some of the stuff is pretty detailed, so there are probably 2, 3 or more videos each. I know it took me quite a few videos to go through the town because, like I said, it's not, these buildings are not just made on the outside. Everything in every one of these towers here in my Crater City, every room is fully created. So, yeah, but trust me, these projects took us the better part of probably a few years of off and on playing Minecraft just to build. So, kind of proud of them. They're pretty cool. So, anyway, enough about Minecraft. Just feel free to, kick back and watch. But, anyway, Sony. Yeah, Sony was kind of interesting. They did something totally different this year. They did a little talking at the beginning, but basically they didn't do a whole bunch of games. They kind of focused on they mainly focused on 4 major games, but they did throw in a few other surprises in there. So I had an original list of everything last night, but I knew I was going to wait till after the Nintendo conference before I made this video, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just, do it in the morning. Well, because of my stupidity, I accidentally closed the file, didn't save it, and so I had to go back and kind of remember all of the things that Sony had to offer. So I may not be able to cover everything in Sony, but I'll do the best of what I can to remember what really stood out to me. So I think I've got most of it. So what do we got here? We have The Last of Us Part 2. They started, and it turns out we were like, okay, this is a weird venue because they made it look like this big old tent thing, and we're like, okay, that's kind of weird looking. Turns out that was from a scene in one of the kind of cutscenes or areas in The Last of Us 2. It's like when they showed the footage, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But Sony started by playing, I forget the guy's name, but they had the guy who does a lot of the music for the games, the Last of Us games, and it's really catchy. I actually really like it's just this really cool acoustic guitar, and I really like it. So that was kind of neat to see. But then they went and they did show some gameplay footage, and man, oh man, if there's one thing I can say about The Last of Us is that it is brutal. They had other games like Tomb Raider, and just in general, other games had these, like, oh, we're gonna sneak through and we're gonna stab people, we're gonna stealth kill them. Yeah, they do that, but it's kind of like, okay, whatever. The Last of Us, man, The Last of Us Part 2, they sold it, man. I mean, they were doing this kind of a similar thing, but they had Ellie, which is one of the main characters from the first game. You're going to play as her, and yeah, she's gone through some stuff, man. She is going to wreck your day. You do not want to be on her bad side. It showed some stealth gameplay. Probably about 10 minutes or so worth. It was pretty interesting. I mean, and just the way, like, there's something about the animation. Naughty Dog is a developer of the game, and they've always just had this knack for, making the characters just super believable, especially in like the last few games. You got the Uncharted, you've got The Last of Us, you got all those types of things, but man, it's one of those games I definitely really want to play. I mean, not just because because it's all violent and bloody and crazy. No, it's because it actually it serves the story. We're not just being super violent just to be super violent. Like, this world, especially like in the first game, the world has gone through this crazy. I don't even know what you would call it. Like, there's these spores have made these like mutant creature things, and it just every time you think think things have gotten their worst, everything just gets more messed up and it gets even worse. The story in the first game, like, it starts out really, really interesting. You played as Joel. He lost his daughter at the beginning. I mean, just if you want to see what The Last of Us is about, just go look up YouTube. Look up like the first 10-15 minutes of The Last of Us. I mean, it is brutal and just really sad. He sells it super, super good. But then, you pick up on this other person, you're Joel, you pick up with this Ellie person that you're supposed to take somewhere. They kind of get to form their relationship over the game. And the ending of The Last of Us 1 it was really good. And some of us were kind of thinking, God, they could have just ended it there and it would have been a really good one-off thing. But I said, now that I'm sort of curious, I've seen some footage of the other one, like last year and this year, of Last of Us 2. I really want to see where the story goes. And so, boy, I don't know, a PS4 just might have to be in my future. The Last of Us 1 was a large contribution to what actually sold me on a PlayStation 3. And I may not be able to resist. I mean, there's been some other games too, some of them that we're going to talk about here, but there's getting to be a fair number of titles that I want to play that are exclusive to PS4. Because a lot of this stuff is, be it Microsoft or Sony, is coming to Windows. So, if I can do that, hey, I'll get it. But there are just some titles that are only going to be they're actually console exclusive. So, The Last of Us 2 Part 2, super excited about it. I think it's going to be cool. I want to play it. Excuse me. Here's a surprise. Resident Evil 2 remake. Boy howdy, that game that game looks really interesting. I've played the original Resident Evil 2 back in the day. I was never very good at it. Honestly, the main thing that I remember about Resident Evil 2 is that the moment you started, like, you no more than started the game. The first thing that you had to get used to is you had about 5 seconds, if not less, to get used to the tank controls that you had, and then to turn around and shoot a zombie. Otherwise, you're getting your face eaten off. There was no intro. It was just like, you had the intro movie, but then you started and boom, you weren't walking anywhere. You were turning and firing. Otherwise, like I said, you were getting eaten. But man, oh man, yeah, this Resident Evil, 2 Remake looks pretty cool. They didn't really again, problem is they didn't show any real gameplay. There was a couple areas that kind of had this, Resident Evil 4 kind of close-up third-person, over-the-shoulder sort of view. So I'm kind of getting the feeling that it's going to be, your traditional third-person shooter camera, not your isometric or your weird, like, stylized camera views that the original games had. Because, man, that was clunky as hell. It was cool for what the technology could do back in the day, but I mean, I think it was largely because the original PlayStation, which is where those the Resident Evil series started, you couldn't do fully 3D environments and then, have like a third-person character and have it look right. So that's why they did those kind of fixed camera angles. But that's going to be at least a 2019 title. Wouldn't surprise me if that slipped back a little bit. And again, some of these things, one of the things that that all the conferences seem to do is they would show the footage, and then right around the title screen where it would show any kind of extra information like release date, they would pull the camera out and show the crowd so that you only saw a little bit of the screen would be smaller and further away. And I would often miss when these games are coming out. So... But, since they didn't show hardly any gameplay footage, that's going to be a title that's not going to be out for a while. But Resident Evil 2, you saw Chris again. You saw, what was her name? Claire? Was it Claire? No, I don't remember what the other lady's name is. But, yeah, that should be interesting, especially with what they've done with Resident Evil 7, seeing what they're going to do with that. So, Resident Evil 2 Remake, that's cool. Spider-Man, yeah, this is one of Sony's other exclusive, which is really interesting. I know Sony handles the Marvel Spider-Man thing, the franchise, but it just seems weird that, like, especially now with how popular, you've got like a Marvel movie coming out literally, seems like every other week, and they're huge sellers. That's why they keep doing it. That's why they keep making it come out every week. But, the Spider-Man thing, that's really weird because, you would think that they would want to get that out to as many consoles as possible, your Xbox, your PC, or, even your Switch or something, have a game specifically for it, because as popular as the superheroes are still right now. But no, it's a Sony exclusive. It looks really, really good. They showed some free-flying stuff right after the conference, and then they showed like a scripted kind of level, interior level play out where he's chasing a whole bunch of, it looked like the Sinister Six. But yeah, it looked really good. I was pretty impressed. The main thing that concerns me, though, about Spider-Man is that last year when they showed it, there was like, it was really cinematic, but the problem was it was also very QuickTime heavy. And again, I've seen a lot of people talk on Twitter about accessibility. God of War is a good example. You have to mash the buttons repeatedly to make these QuickTime things happen, or even for low vision, like for me. Okay, what button is going to pop up really, or button combination is going to come up really fast, and am I going to be able to see it? Is it going to be in the same spot? Are they going to throw the buttons all over the screen, and you have to kind of figure out where they are? I don't know. But yeah, so definitely promising. If I ever got a PS4, I would probably consider getting that game because it's looking pretty dang sharp, if I do say so myself. As we're looking through our little police station here. Yeah, I just remember looking, as I'm looking through here again, it's been probably several months since I've even gone on the server, and just looking at all the work we've put in. Okay, I don't know where all those paintings went. That looks a little strange, but fix that later. But yeah, really cool. So Spider-Man, that's going to be really neat. And that's coming out later this year. That's coming out in like September, I think. So it's not very far. Oh boy, Death Stranding. This is Kojima's new, Konami let him go. He was, of course, the guy who made the Metal Gear series. I was never super into the Metal Gear. Like, I kind of liked it. I kind of didn't mind it here and there. I played through the first one. I played through most of the second one. Never played 3. I watched a friend play through. 4 was actually kind of interesting. 4 was pretty neat. I never actually played through 5 yet. I have it now, I think. I think I have it now. And I like the open world nature. Like, there's some of the stuff, the gameplay-wise, I think it's interesting. But Kojima has always had his own... He's kind of really done his own thing, let's just say. His trailers have always been just completely... Since Metal Gear 2, I think. Metal Gear Solid 2. His trailers have just been insane. Like, I don't even know how to describe them. I still don't exactly know what kind of game Death Stranding is. It's a third-person something or other. He basically... One of the people I follow on Twitter, actually I'll be talking with him on the podcast later today, Mr. Steinkamp. He was joking. It was like, yeah, what is this, like UPS simulator or United, because he showed him basically like just, oh, we're carrying a bunch of stuff across some lands, and really not much else for gameplay. But then there was some weird thing with there's like babies and invisible hand feet things, and I mean the trailer started with like showing like this butt, and then like it switched around and it was a baby's head, and then I don't know, man. Like I said on Twitter the other day, I said, not so much for the game, but like I just want to know what kind of drugs they're smoking over there, because they're on some good stuff, man. They're on some good shit. Because their trailers are bizarre as hell. So Death Stranding, that's it. I'm guessing that's at least probably a 2020 game. I'd be almost surprised if it came out next year. So yeah, they've been teasing that one. They've been milking that one for a good 2-3 years already. I don't know how to say this next title. Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushina. Ghosts of Tsushina. This was a really neat looking kind of game. It was just, again, third person, kind of a like Shogun Japanese game. Kind of reminded me of like the fighting when they first started. It looked like kind of almost like a part 3D fighting game, and then part like a 3D action stealth sort of a game. Kind of mixing together like action and stuff, and like Tenchu or like Bushido Blade. The ditch where the thing with Bushido Blade as a fighting game is like you would hit a guy and you could kill him in one hit. You didn't have a life bar. Like you actually had to be very strategic and block, and like 1 or 2 hits and you were dead. So it looked really kind of neat. Again, the games these days are freaking beautiful. Even on, Xbox or PlayStation 4, whatever it is. A lot of the games just, looked really freaking good. And that's why I'm really in no hurry for a new console generation. They're talking about, maybe another 2-3 years or something, we're going to have another console generation. Like, I think we rush into things too much, and we don't optimize our current machines. We're getting good stuff out of them now, but like, I think there's a lot more you can do with the current hardware we have. So yeah, this Ghosts game, that looked pretty rad. I'm interested to see what the heck that is actually going to turn into. Control. Now, I believe this was a Remedy game. Those are the folks that brought us Max Payne and Alan Wake and all kinds of fun stuff. And I really need to know more about this game. I really need to know more about Control, because the way it looked to me, there's a Oh god, that is a backwards compatible game that needs to come to Xbox One. There is an original Xbox PlayStation 2 game called PsyOps, the Mindgate Conspiracy. And that game was freaking cool. It was a third-person action game. You had guns, but the most fun aspect of that game is PsyOps. You had all these psychic powers. So you had things like, you could have telekinesis. You had pyrokinesis. You could take over people's minds, and then, like, you would be controlling an enemy, and then you could either, like, have them shoot their buddies, or, like, I take over a guy in a watchtower, and then I have him jump off to his death, or just all kinds of, there was, like I said, pyrokinesis. There was, like, what, a good 5, 6 different powers that you would get. And this one looks super fast. It looks super crazy. I have a feeling this is one that's going to come to PlayStation and PC. So, because Remedy stuff has gone elsewhere. So I'm guessing that's going to, at the very least, come to PC in addition to PlayStation 4. And a game like that, I think I'd want to play on PC, just because if it's so fast, you'd want to have the nice keyboard and mouse control. But as we go into my prison here, I am super proud. This building that we've been going through the whole time in this video, this is, I think, by far my most, like, my proudest creation. It was the last one, so I had my skills built up a little bit, and I was just doing some really nice, intricate architecture here, and I made this whole kind of courtroom, police station, prison tower work super well. Every time I walk in here, I'm just like, wow, proud of this. It's really cool. But yeah, Control, man. That looks... I need to know more about that game. Let's put it that way. Nioh 2, Nioh 2. I know this was a PlayStation game. I never played the original, so I think it's like a third-person kind of action-y, ninja-y kind of a thing. I never actually played the original, so I don't really know much about it. But it looked cool. Then they, of course, they did Kingdom Hearts 3. They did a different trailer, thankfully, than everybody else did. But I, again, wasn't very interested. We've talked enough about Kingdom Hearts 3, so we're just going to kind of gloss over that, other than to say it's coming out this year. Destiny 2 expansion. The Forsaken. Again, I just haven't gotten into Destiny 1 or 2 yet, so, first-person shooter, online, raid, it's just like, it's like almost like an MMO light, in a way. It's like, it's all loot and raids and quests and stuff like that, so there you go again. Call of Duty Black Ops 4, coming out this year. They got to have a new, Call of Duty every year. But they said, oh yeah, some of our maps, some of our content is going to also come back to Black Ops 3, in which if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you can now go get a bonus. You can go get Black Ops 3 for free if you subscribe to PlayStation Plus. So there you go. That is Sony. So overall, I thought, their core games that they focused on, what was it, Spider-Man, Death Stranding, Death Stranding, whatever. But Spider-Man looked good. The Last of Us looked really good. I want to play that really bad. Spider-Man, that looked really good. And then the Resident Evil was a really nice surprise. The presentation was actually really kind of awkward, though, because they started, with The Last of Us, but then they kind of took this break and did this, like, they cut away, and then they did this different, like, talk show thing and just talked for a while, and then they, and then they came back and said, oh yeah, we can play some games again. So yeah. So, overall, Sony was alright. They were really focusing on, they didn't touch indie games at all, but instead they were focusing on their, again, they're really putting a lot of their effort into their first party, their exclusive titles that nobody else has, like these big, super AAA, big budget titles. So that was last night. And then we come to this morning, and oh boy. So Nintendo, here's our last conference for the day, or for the weekend. Well, I was kind of looking forward to them, because I'm like, well, they killed it last year. Nintendo killed this. I mean, last year that was they launched the Switch last year. I got mine right after I got back from CSUN. They started with Zelda. They started out with a couple other good indie stuff. They came out with like Splatoon 2 and Mario, the pure joy that was Mario Odyssey. Just awesome games. And this year, they just, boy, I don't know. They don't really seem to have it, man. If you like Super Smash Brothers, this is definitely going to be your year. Because they did the main title that they focused on literally for probably like a half an hour was their Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. And basically their whole shtick to that was, oh yeah, we are basically putting in all of every character that's been in every Smash Brothers game ever. You're going to be in there. You're going to have new stages. They actually went through like almost like a good chunk of the characters, and it was like, here are the differences, and here's a da-da-da-da-da. So like if you were nerding out over Smash Brothers, you're going to like this game. Or you're going to be really happy later this year. But again, I've never been into Smash all that much. I think the concept is interesting. I remember when it first started on the N64. I remember the first time I saw a commercial for that game. I was actually watching South Park, I believe it was, with a friend of mine at his place, and the original commercial came on. It had this, look up the original Smash Brothers 64 commercial on YouTube. It had this whole, so happy together, that song, and it was all these like Mushroom Kingdom characters just skipping through the forest, all happy as can be. And then I forget who started. I think he was either Mario or Donkey Kong just went, and then just this whole brawl just ensued. And it's like something went horribly wrong in the happy-go-lucky land of Nintendo, and it sold the game perfectly because I'm like, oh, that looks so good. Problem is, and especially from a low vision user's point of view, this is a game I would highly recommend that you try before you buy, because the gameplay itself is pretty simple to get into, but there's a lot of kind of underlying strategy. But visually, it's a very difficult game to play because it's it's a fighting game, but it's not like your left-right fighting game. You're on these 2D or 3D stages. And when you're doing that, basically, it's not like, again, it's not a flat area. You're fighting in all these like Nintendo zones and stuff, and there are multiple platforms, there are levels, there are hazards and obstacles. The problem is you have so many fighters. You can have, several fighters going at it at once, and the objective is to knock the other opponents off of the stage by beating the crap out of them until they run out of energy, and you can just, punt them off. Again, it sounds cool, but it's very hard to see in a lot of cases for low vision, because what they do is the stages will zoom in and out like constantly, and like if there's a whole bunch of people, it'll zoom way out, and so there's particle effects going off, there's people jumping, dashing, flying around, and it's really tough to keep track of your character. Even in the N64 version, I struggled with it. I really struggled being able to play that game. Everyone goes back to Brawl. That's the one on the GameCube, Smash Brothers Brawl. Everybody loves that. I mean, so much that even in this one they announced that, hey, you can use GameCube controllers with it, because most fans, hardcore players of that game, you're playing with the GameCube controller, or you're not playing it at all. I mean, it's just that's the way it's been since Brawl. But yeah, so that's Smash Brothers. New characters, stages, whatever. I mean, like I said, they did like a half an hour video of it. Neat idea, but it's just not for me. So anyway, Nintendo, they started their presentation that's with a game that's coming out next year, Demon X Machina. And and it's Daemon, not like the hell demon, like the almost like computer demon kind of a thing. It looked really crazy. I mean, and it was so interesting because they started with that. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a nice surprise. Maybe we are going to get some cool new stuff from Nintendo. And, they had this rockin' music. It was really kind of cheesy, but it was really over the top, really kind of fun. And it looked like this kind of action game. It looked like there was mechs and shooting stuff, and I don't know what the heck was all going on in that game. But, I mean, like I said, it was just over the top cheesy, and I kind of liked it. I do want to learn more about Demon Ex Machina. I would like to see what the heck that game actually is, but I think we got a pretty decent showing of that. And then the presentation to me went downhill from there. And again, it all depends on what kind of games you like. Some people will be thrilled. I know some people I've already seen that said, hey, yeah, Nintendo conference was pretty good. They showed a little thing for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Again, that's your big open RPG, traditional style Japanese RPG. Again, not really super sold on it for me. But I know a lot of RPG fans, especially being on the Switch in portable form, yeah, I can sort of people are going to be really happy about that. Then they went to another RPG. Of course, you've got your Pokemon Let's Go. You have two different versions of that. They always seem to like to do that. They have their Pikachu and Eevee. I know who Pikachu is. I don't know who Eevee is, because other than trying to play Pokemon Go for a very short time, I fell away from that very quickly, and I've just never been into the turn-based menu fantasy, turn-based RPGs. For the most part, they bore me. It takes a very special couple kinds. Like I've played a couple of the Mario RPGs. I played through the South Park: The Stick of Truth. I didn't even make it all the way through the second South Park game. Like, it was okay. It had it was more of the tactics turn-based game, and it was funny. I made a video about it, but I didn't even finish the second South Park game, despite kind of wanting to see where the plot goes. So yeah, it takes a really lot for me to play through a turn-based role-playing game as we enter my casino here. So yeah, Pokemons, you got that going. You got, again, another RPG, another Fire Emblem game, which, again, a lot of people are hugely into the Fire Emblem titles. You have that. And as of today, right now, you can go download Fortnite for the Nintendo Switch. Big surprise there. Not really. Not at all. Fortnite is basically coming to everything, because that is the new Minecraft. That is the new cash cow that is just everybody's talking about it. And here's what's really interesting about Fortnite. So Fortnite has been a really weird thing. It started out, God, I don't know how many years ago, 5 years ago or better. And in its original form, it was this survival game where you were in some sort of environment, like let's say a small town, and these like zombies or monsters would come out at night. During the day, you would go around the town or go around the environment, and you would, build up your defenses, build up your thing, and then you would defend. Well, then I played a little bit of the early build of the survival thing. I registered. It was like a free part of the Unreal, their service. I forget what it's called. Epic, like the Epic launcher, I think it was called. And yeah, I mean, basically you had this portal that you would activate, and then you had to defend it. You could build walls, you could build defenses, you could build traps. And that was what that thing was. That was what Fortnite was. Well, then PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds became this phenomenon last year. That was the whole Battle Royale thing really got kicked off last year. And so Fortnite decided, oh, you know what? Hey, we can do that too. So they added this free to play mode for Fortnite. Presumably they're still working on the other modes, and I think that other mode is still in like an early access form. It's still not out yet, as long as it's been in development, for crimini's sake. But now, yeah, they just really cranked out this battle royale mode, and again, everyone flocked to Battlegrounds, or PUBG as everybody calls it now. They flocked to that, but then, oh no, okay, everyone and their dog seems to be playing Fortnite battle royale. So much so that the Fortnite guys are actually trying to do lawsuits because they have a conflict of interest. So what is what they're saying is that, oh well, you did these, you are making the engine for this game, and because you're helping us, then you got to see what kind of things we were doing so that you could put them in your game, and now you're taking away from our business. And ordinarily, I would say this is really sort of frivolous, but I can kind of see, in a way, I can kind of see their point. The Battlegrounds guys, I can see their point, because it's like, if we're working directly with the engine people themselves, like the Unreal guys, to build our Battle Royale game, and then you go and then make a game that's, quite similar in a way, I can see where I'd be a little mad about that. But I mean, even from what I've seen, though, Fortnite is a lot different because, again, you can focus on building. It's a lot more kind of zany, like PUBG is a lot more kind of serious, kind of more slow, tactical, tense, and Fortnite just seems to be a lot more like cartoony, over the top, crazy, that kind of a thing. So there are some differences. There are definitely some differences. So anyway, that is out on Nintendo Switch. Should you wish to go download it immediately, guess what? You can. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So then they did a kind of some indie titles. We got Overcooked 2. This is kind of a little party game sort of thing. It's like a cooperative, insane cooking thing. It looks cool, but again, I think because of like the, zooming out a little bit, it's kind of far away. Unless you really started to know each level really well, I think it would be maybe a little bit difficult to see visually, low vision wise. But it does look kind of like a fun little party game. They do have Mario Party, or Super Mario Party. They've made like, 10, 12 of those things so far on various platforms. Of course it had to come to Nintendo Switch. I played a little bit of the first one, or I don't know if it was 1 or 2. I might have checked out a little bit of both of them. Basically it's this board game. You have a bunch of characters, you play other people, and for each part of the board game, you play all these little mini games, and you get stars and battle each other. And I just never got into it. The games were pretty just meh, whatever. I never got into them. And again, part of them, it was 4 people on one screen, and some of it could get kind of zoomed out or far away, so it was kind of hard to see from time to time. So I just never really got into it. So yeah, Super Mario Party. Again, if you're into Mario Party, hey, again, you're gonna like these. So I mean, they had games. It's just not really the games that I myself personally am interested in. What do we get here? Oh yeah, Killer Queen Black. I guess it's been out on other platforms. It's some sort of 2D. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of like actiony or fighting, like, arena thing. I to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure what the heck was going on in that trailer. But yeah, Killer Queen Black. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Hollow Knight. That is a game that I think a lot of people are probably going to like. Is a 2D sort of Metroidvania, exploration, a little bit of combat, some combat in there. I think I might have picked that up recently during like a summer Steam sale or something like that. I don't recall. If I didn't, it's on my Steam wish list. So I'm more than likely going to play that on Steam, but I do want to play Hollow Knight. And it's out today. If you want to play it on the Switch, you can also play that one in particular today. Octopath Traveler, again, some other kind of RPG thing. We mentioned that in one of the other, I think that was the Square conference. That is coming out soonish and coming to Nintendo Switch. Demo is out now, so if you want, demo is out on June 14th, I should say. So there's that. Again, they did their kind of just a random, here's some bunch of games that are coming out, third-party stuff. I couldn't catch everything because everything was, again, it was just moving so fast. But a couple that jumped out at me, there was Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which is already on other consoles. No surprise that that's coming to the Switch. I'm not a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. I am, I don't know. I did watch it for a short time early on in college just to see what the whole fuss was about, and I could only keep up with it for so long because it was one of those, again, if you're not familiar with Dragon Ball Z, you go through a storyline, and what could be done in 3 episodes takes 30. You might have, one episode, they might throw 1 or 2 punches if they're fighting. And then it's we're talking, or we'll charge up and yell into the camera and, show glowy fireballs. And, yeah, it's just no. I'm ashamed to say I watched that for a little while. I tried, I gave it a chance, but I just couldn't do it. Nevertheless, I do kind of want to play Fighter Z, if nothing else. It is fast, and it looks really crazy. It looks really, for a fighting game, it looks kind of cool, actually. I mean, the art style is quite beautiful. I mean, it's amazing what they did with the visuals of that title. Yeah, then it was Smash Brothers Ultimate. I'd already babbled a lot about that. The main new thing that we know about, there's a new character, Ridley. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ridley is a cool character. One of Samus's main nemesises in the Metroid series. You got Ridley, you've got Mecha Ridley in some of them. So yeah, I mean, if you're really into Smash Brothers, that's what it is. And that was it. There's a lot of games that were really missing from that conference. What they should have done, and right away when they started the Nintendo thing, they said, stay tuned after this presentation. We'll watch the Treehouse stuff. Where they usually show more games in detail, like the big games that they're focusing on. They should have left the Smash Brothers stuff for that. Because instead what they did is they spent so much time on Smash Brothers. There's tons of games that they talked about last year that they didn't even say peep about. They didn't talk about their online. They didn't talk about, okay, we know we're not getting Virtual Console, but they didn't talk, about... They could have shown the interface for their online system, They could have showed, okay, this is what you're going to do. Maybe we'll do a quick demo of how you would play a classic game online, or, just show us something. Tons of games that they could have showed that they didn't. I was almost thinking there might have been a Mario Maker for Switch coming out. That was nothing there. I've heard rumors about a Punch-Out game for the Switch. Nope. That would have made me really happy. If they would have had the show that they had, but they would have had a Punch-Out game for the Switch, I would have felt a fair bit better, because Punch-Out, especially if they did something as good as the Wii version, that game was fantastic. That game was so much charm, character, the animation of it was just really, really cool. But nope, nothing there. There was no more heroes. They didn't mention anything about that. They didn't show really any gameplay for that. They didn't, they could have done something with Star Fox or F-Zero or, God, What else? Like I said, no classic games, no online, no Punch-Out, F-Zero. Oh, Bayonetta. No, they were doing this whole Bayonetta 3 thing was going to happen. They could have showed some of that. They had the logo last year for Metroid Prime 4. All they did is show a Prime, the Prime symbol and then 4. Nothing. They didn't show any, even pre-rendered stuff. They didn't even show any like conceptual, story-based stuff that might be for Metroid Prime 4. So, I gotta say, again, if you like some of the spin-off stuff, you like Mario Party, you like Smash, you probably felt a lot better about it than I did. But I'm not a huge Smash fan. I'm not a huge Mario Party fan. I do like some of the Mario sports games. They did, I think later this month actually, Mario Tennis is coming out. Mario Tennis Aces is coming out. I might be interested in that, but again, that's nothing like super we didn't know about. I mean, we know that's coming out in a couple of weeks, if that. So actually, it might even be later this week, for all I remember. But for me, it was a lot of a lot of Japanese RPGs, a genre which I really don't play. I really don't play much. That crazy Demon Ex Machina, that was probably the most surprising of anything that Nintendo had to show. They started their show with this crazy kind of thing. I'm like, oh, okay, I could see that. That works. But yeah, I came away from Nintendo's briefing this morning feeling pretty disappointed. Not gonna lie. Like I said, especially after the year that they had last year with the Switch. The year that they had last year, I mean, I wanted to get into Zelda more than I did. But even if I didn't, I said Mario Sunshine, or not, good God, I can't even talk. I'm getting wore down already. Mario Odyssey was just a pure joy to play. Like, I enjoyed that game so much playing it last year, and especially with some of their accessibility features. It was fun. And for me, there might be an indie game. Maybe I'll pick up Mario Tennis or something down the line. No WarioWare either. They announced that big WarioWare game for the DS that's coming out this summer. But damn it, nothing for the Switch. Like, if they would have had a WarioWare and a Punch-Out game for the Switch, would have been great. That would have made me very, very happy. Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling there's going to be a fair number of people that are fairly disappointed with Nintendo's presentation. If you like Smash, you're going to be in heaven. If you don't, well, better luck next year. I guess you have plenty of incentive to finish Zelda and Mario Odyssey now, don't you? Anyway, yeah, that wraps it up for E3 2018's press conferences. God, what is this, my 4th video now? This is going to go up on Wednesday. I thought about doing it today, but I'm like, no. I released the other one today because it was taking forever to upload last night. Released it today. So, nope, this is going to be your regularly scheduled Wednesday video. And then I'm going to take a break from recording videos. And, yeah, we're just going to go with some of the content that I have already recorded. And we will return to our regularly scheduled Wednesday, Saturday programming. And unless there's something really miraculously special that happens at some of these summer conferences, some AT news or something that's really interesting, I think we're going to be on our slowed down schedule for a little while. Wednesdays and Saturdays. Maybe a bonus video here and there. You never know. But we're going to slow it down a notch. Again, please go back and check out a lot of my bonus videos. I've done some VR stuff. I've done some events and updates. Like I said, all of the other tech conferences. Apple, Microsoft. All of that. God, I mean, I don't know what else have I done. There's been a lot of bonus videos for various reasons or various things. So again, hope you guys enjoy that. I know the videos are fairly long, but again, a lot to cover, and I want to do a decent job of covering things. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the coverage of E3 2018. We are done. I am not done yet, because in a couple of hours, actually, in about an hour and a half, I'm going to be recording the next episode of the Blind Bargains podcast. I'm going to be going on there with them to have one last E3 2018 conversation. So again, within the next week or so, definitely check out the Blind Bargains cast, and you will probably find yours truly in the conversation about game accessibility and E3. Hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. Join me on Mixer, mixer.com/BGFH. And do all the usual YouTube stuff. And until next time, I will talk to you guys again later.